G'day guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the series on Brendan's 1000 horsepower motor build. So in the previous episode we sort of took all the bits and pieces off that we needed to get to the upgrades. So we took all the rocker gear off, all the timing gear, so it was sort of at a bare bones to a certain degree now, ready for all the upgrades that we're going to do to it. Bear in mind this is a stock motor, we haven't sort of gone to the built motor just yet, so we're just safeguarding the stock motor at this point. So we'll go through it, we'll do all our Crow valve springs, we'll get the oil pump off, we'll put new billet gears in there so you can hang off the limiter and not really worry about exploding them. We've also got new cams to go in, and something we didn't mention on the last episode is we've actually got a billet timing gear kit as well from Atomic. But we'll go through all that sort of stuff later and why that's a little bit better than the factory stuff. So yeah, come along with us and we'll see what we find.
Nights are numb, days are dead. Tried to fix you, broke myself instead. I wonder why I can't sleep without you by my side. I could find the words to say to you. Wish that you could see the other way. Someday I'll be better. Now that you're gone, I'll burn all your letters and right all your wrongs. Right now I am barely off of my knees, but someday I'll find peace. Someday I'll find peace. Someday I'll find. What's it like? How's your life? Did it hurt you when you saw me cry? I wonder why I still think about you all the time. I could find the words to say to you. Wish that you could see the other way. Someday I'll be better. Now that you're gone, I'll burn all your letters and right all your wrongs. Right now I am barely off of my knees, but someday I'll find peace.
Alrighty, so as you saw, we've done all the clearances in the pump. They all check out, so that's really good. We don't have to modify anything, which is fantastic. So we've got the pump all torqued up back in, ready to go. Now we're just going to have a look at the timing assembly and show you, reasons why we choose these timing kits over others. So as I said, Atomic are a really good big player in the Barra game. Obviously, they've done a lot of research and development in their own engines, which is fantastic, and obviously proven parts over the past. So that's a big reason why we do use the Atomic guide kits. One big reason is you notice on the two guides that this one's just a cast alloy, and this one's I think it's a 4340 billet. I'm not exactly sure on the material, but it is a billet of some sort, obviously 10 times stronger than the factory cast stuff. A big thing you'll notice is when when the chain tensioner is actually trying to push out and do its job, it tends to leave sort of dents and surface marks on the back of the tensioner. Because the material is so soft, it actually starts to collapse and score. Whereas on the billet stuff, being billet, it's a lot stronger and it's not going to sort of compress over time after torsional moments and things like that. So that's one big reason why we do use the Atomic guides. Another reason is, if you have a look here, they actually extend the top here. This is extended a little bit further than the factory guide. So if I line those up there, if you see that, it's actually a little bit longer. And if you see it on the side there, the rake on the billet guide is actually a bit angled. It's angled further down, because what happens as the chain runs up here, it runs along the cam gears back around the crank and then back up here. As the RPM increases, you tend to get a little bit of chain whiplash. So what happens is the chain's actually trying to walk itself outside the timing case. So with that in mind, what Atomic have done, they've actually put a slight angle on this. And what that does, instead of the chain actually putting force on the top of this guide, is they tend to snap the top of this guide here, because there's so much tension at high RPM on this, the top section of this guide. It just wears it away, eventually snaps off, and then obviously cause a lot of dramies. So yeah, what Atomic have done, they've put a little bit of a rake on the top of the guide there, which helps a lot with chain lash as it's going around the engine. So yeah, as I said, a really good reason why we use the Atomic guides. They supply a genuine factory non-tension side guide, which is good. Billet pivot bolt. These bolts screw into the pump here. And they're, again, it's just an extra safeguard. They do have a lot of tension or pressure, torsional moments, whatever you want to call them, on this bolt here. So having a nice billet bolt is going to be a lot stronger than the factory stuff again. And last but not least is the heavy duty timing, tensioner. Again, Atomic have worked their magic with this, and they've created a guide, a tensioner that's going to stand up to the test of time on these things, and number one, work a lot better. They tend, the spring tension in them, the way that they ratchet, things like that, is a lot better than factory. So yeah, as I said, big go-to when we do the timing guides and timing assembly on these things, because as I said, Atomic have done all the testing in their own engines. They've done 1,000 kilowatt engines, single overhead cams, Barras. As I said, they're a big player in these games, so using their products, I'm always very confident in what they do and what they make. And we tend to, check parts here and there, check for clearances and, tolerances and things like that. And the Atomic stuff is 9 times out of 10 always hits the mark on clearance issues and things like that. So yeah, no, we're very happy with the Atomic stuff. So we'll get that all in. We'll get it all flipped over, get the cam gears in, and keep going with it all. Another one that we always do when we do upgrade the timing gear is the billet chain sprocket, which is really good. The stock ones, they chew out teeth, they always break. I've seen quite a few cases where they break. Again, it's under high RPM, torsional loads. Everyone that sort of owns these Barras and loves to modify them tends to, get up in the RPM here and there. So the timing sprocket is a really good upgrade. I think Atomic do 2 different types. They do a factory hardened one and also a billet one, which is what we've got here today. So the customer opted for the billet one, which we'll chuck on for him. And another really good part of the timing kit is the chain. These Barras, they tend to snap chains here and there, especially on and off the throttle very often. The chain gets a lot of whiplash back and forth if you're on and off the throttle. So a heavy duty chain is what Atomic make, which is grouse. They stand up to the test of time. Again, I've got them in our shop car, 1400 horsepower plus, and without an issue. So yeah, we chuck all them in from time to time when customer requests. All right, so we're up to the point where we're putting our spark plugs in. Now, I'm going to give you all a little tutorial on how to put spark plugs in. Step 1, take them out of the box. Step 2, get yourself a tube of this stuff, anti-seize. Put it on the thread of the spark plug and put it in the hole. That's all you need to do. Don't even need to spread it around. Just put it on the thread, put it in the head. It'll make your life and your mechanic's life 10 times easier when you take them out. And don't over tighten them either. They're not holding Jesus to the cross without nails. They're only holding inside your head. Don't over tighten them. so we thought we'd just show you guys a little bit of a comparison compared to the stock turbo these XRs come with, compared to our upgraded Borgie that we're going with. So this one here is a SXE 372, so it's got a 72mm front wheel on it, which is all billet aluminium. Pretty fun, fast spooling things. They're actually, for the size turbo, and considering it's journal bearing, they're actually not that bad at spool time. We had one in our shop car once upon a time, made relatively close to 1,000 horsepower. And the spool time, it started to spool at around the 3,000 RPM mark, and we were sort of seeing full boost by like 3,600. So considering the size of the turbo, it's actually not that laggy. Really good upgrade for someone that's sort of getting into high powered sort of XRs. They're not a completely bolt-on, but you know, when you get to this point in sort of the power range that you're aiming for, unfortunately things stop becoming bolt-on and they start becoming more custom. Hence why we've got the 6-boost manifold, custom dump pipe, oil lines, all that sort of stuff. So the customer grabbed this off us before we sort of got to this video and polished all the front cover up because he wanted to do that, which is cool. And we've had the rear cover all ceramic coated, ceramic black coated, because they come as a raw material, so raw steel, so they do tend to rust a little bit. So he's opted to get it ceramic coated just to stop all the rusting, and it looks a lot better too. As well as keeping the heat down a little bit. There's two options with ceramic coating, one being like a chrome ceramic coating and the second being black. Chrome doesn't really suit this sort of style of engine build that he's doing, although the front housing is obviously chrome, but he wanted to keep the rear housing all black. So we've done that, which is obviously better for thermal control as well, which is fantastic. And yeah, we've got this little baby 3576 here, so it's a good comparison to show sort of, you know, the difference of the turbos. These ones sort of tap out at around the 330 kilowatt marks on these XRs. Grouse little turbo, they're super responsive and fantastic for, you know, your entry level turbo sort of when you get into these things. You know, as I said, they go through like 330 kilowatts, so that's a lot of power for someone that's sort of getting into the XRs. They're super reliable, Garrett turbo, so yeah, they're a really good turbo and we love them. The best thing about them is their response time is really good. Super reliable, ball bearing turbo, all that fun stuff. But obviously not good enough for what we want to achieve, so we've gone with the Borgie, and yeah, so now it's sort of at the point where we're going to bolt all the manifold on, we're going to bolt the turbo on, and then get to the point where we actually drop the donk in the car. So yeah, here we go. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, we've got the donk back in today. Got all the turbo, everything mocked up, and looks fantastic. The customer's done really well on that front housing, so good contrast between colours, which is great. Now, the next episode, we're sort of going to move on to the fabrication sort of things. Before that, obviously, we'll button up the engine, get all the power steering, the AC, all the pipe and everything done, and buttoned up back to the engine. And then we'll move on to the dump, which is going to be a 4-inch stainless, fully TIG welded dump. All V-bands, MagnaFlow muffler, all that fun stuff too. So yeah, stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll get all the fabrication sort of stuff done. We may even get onto the cooler piping, so we might do a little bit of cooler piping mock-up, things like that too. But yeah, we'll just see how we go. So stay tuned for it all. If you want to check out any of the stuff that you see here that we sell, jump onto www.mackielecindustriescom.au. We have all the stuff that we sell on there, all our oil lines, PCM relocation, the flywheel locking plate that you saw us fit, all that sort of stuff is listed on the website, so jump on there, have a gaze at what we do. If you want to get in contact with us to actually do any of this stuff, get your car worked on, or you know, slight upgrades, minor, major, we do it all. Whether you just want to come in and get a service done, or whether you want to come in and, you know, go as crazy as this customer and go 1,000 horsepower, we can sort you out. So yeah, check it all out, and stay tuned for episode 3, and we'll walk you through the rest of it.